Before I make a few comments here, I'd like to give special recognition and thanks to County Board Chairman Tom O'Neill, who is with us today. Chairman O'Neill called me after he had the discussion with Mr. Urich and said, Jim, Patrick has made a decision not to stay here. And knowing that you guys, or we, are in a situation to need a very strong city manager, I sure hope you guys can work hard to try to keep him in our community. Because not only does he know how to do his job and do it well, but we need him to stay in our community. And I think that that just speaks volumes for the leadership and integrity of Chairman O'Neill, but also stepping outside of the parochial county board position he's in to understand how important it is to our community to retain someone like Patrick Urich. And Chairman O'Neill, we really do appreciate that. You know, Patrick's reputation in the community and among his peers really is one of the main reasons that the council is so interested in having an opportunity to visit with him about this position. Patrick has been the county administrator since January 1st, 2001. He started his public administration career in 1993 in Lake County and spent 7 years serving as an analyst and assistant county administrator. Mr. Urich holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Illinois Wesleyan and a master's in public administration from the University of Illinois at Chicago. Mr. Urich was the first county administrator to serve as president of the Illinois City County Management Association and is currently the president of the National Association of County Administrators. Mr. Urich and his wife, Brooke, who is with us here today, have lived in Peoria for more than 10 years, and they're proud residents of the Uplands neighborhood and have 3 children, 2 of whom currently attend District 150 schools. One of the questions that this council and previous councils always have when we're in situations of looking for and hiring a new city manager is, why can't we hire someone local that has qualified to do this job? I can't tell you how proud this council is to say that we have that person. Mr. Urich's ability to step into this position at this time will help us to expedite the reorganization work that we have and also allow our permanent city manager to be engaged in the budget much sooner than we anticipated the city manager having the ability to do. I think it's important, before Patrick makes his comments, for everyone to understand that the interview that we had a couple weeks ago was not a one-way interview. It was a very engaging interview on both sides, and Patrick actually challenged our city council about our willingness to engage in strategic planning and establishing concrete council goals. And just as important was as the council's resolve to actually allowing the city manager to perform the job of city manager after we gave that policy direction. And to a council member, we committed on both of those areas that we are definitely in a position to want to engage in both of those. There are some issues, not major issues, but just timing issues that need to be worked out with Patrick due to his assistance over there during the transition period in the county. But we expect those will be identified and worked out soon. And we also expect that the actual formal hiring will be on our next council agenda, at which time there'll be more specific details on the contract itself. But I can just say, trying to definitely keep a lid on my excitement and how big I think this is for the city of Peoria to have Patrick Urich coming in as our new city manager on behalf of the entire city council. It gives me unbelievably a great amount of pleasure to introduce our next city manager, Patrick Urich.
You know, it's kind of funny. As I was walking over here from the county courthouse today, one of my employees, as I was walking out the door, said, you've ut a big decision to make today. And I said, well, I think I've already made that decision. And she says, no, when are you going to close the courthouse? So put it all into perspective. First, let me thank the City Council for considering me for the position of City Manager. I look forward to hopefully working with you in the future. Thanks to the County Board and all the staff and elected officials in Peoria County for having the faith in me and for the accomplishments that we achieved over the last 10 years. Tommy, thank you for all of your leadership and friendship. I really appreciate it very much. I'm really excited about the prospect of serving as the Peoria City Manager for many reasons. I've lived in Peoria for 10 years. My wife and I have grown to love and appreciate everything about the city. In my profession, it's really uncommon for us to be able to gain new professional opportunities without uprooting your family and leaving. So we're really thrilled about the prospects of being able to stay here in the community. I believe I can help to tackle some of the challenges that the city has in its present challenges. And the mayor mentioned in his State of the City address that the government needs to be more focused, more customer-driven, more creative, more flexible while becoming smaller and less expensive. This is no small chore, but I think that I wholeheartedly agree with it. And I believe that we can work with the council to achieve that. So some of the things I really want to just touch upon quickly, and then I want to answer any of your questions that you have, is first and foremost, I think we need to look at working on trying to achieve financial solvency. You know, for me, it's gaining a firm grasp on the depth of the structural deficit the city is facing. While we didn't get here overnight, we need to address it quickly, creatively, and transparently. Second, we need to dig into the cost drivers that are causing the deficit, notably pensions and health care. Third, we need to define service levels and core services. It's important that the public knows that the service levels and services that the city provides will continue to evolve and change over time. Secondly, as the mayor mentioned, we want to try and help the city council articulate policy priorities that will guide city operations. It's important that we begin to engage the council in a strategic planning process to define their goals, that we can align our budget decisions within the council's strategic goals, and then provide clarity both to the organization and to the public about where the attention of the council will be and how the resources of the city will be directed. And then lastly, that we cultivate the organization to maximize our cost effectiveness. I want to spend some time talking with the employees and get to know them, to understand their motivations and concerns. I really want to get to know the department heads and the elected office holders and the elected officials, the elected council, to identify what issues and opportunities they see for city government. I want to make sure that we're developing a restructuring plan that efficiently streamlines the organization and that we clearly articulate performance goals for each of our service areas with appropriate metrics to benchmark our performance. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. One of the commitments that I made to the county board is that I would give them 90 days. That would end somewhere in the area of around April 8th. So sometime beginning in the middle of April, I would anticipate I would be available to start here. Well, any recommendations would have to go through the Council for Reorganization and Restructuring, but I do think that as soon as we can possibly begin to discuss reorganization and restructuring, that we do it as fast as possible. Ideally, if we can get focused on setting some strategic goals initially up front, that's going to help to drive some of those decisions, and then that's going to hopefully help to drive some of the budget decisions as well.
In fact, so many times we brought outside managers in. We are fortunate to have you here locally. Is that going to be a bigger help or maybe a hindrance if people have known you that you see going both ways?
I see it as a strength that I've been in the community for 10 years. I know some of the challenges that I think that the city is facing. I want to get, in my view, get up to speed on some of those issues in greater depth, but I'm really looking forward to it. So I think it's a strength. You know, I think probably the most significant reason for me is the opportunity to serve in a community that I really love. My wife and I have 3 kids that have been born in this community. We consider ourselves Peorians now, and the opportunity to serve this community and try and help to make a difference is what really appealed to me.
Did it help that they came after you so quickly after you announced you were
Didn't hurt. They're looking at a couple of other opportunities, sure. No, it's okay.
Just want to talk somewhere down the line. The mayor's fond of consolidating things, streamlining things, saving money on budget. This whole thing comes through, eventually down the line with county, city. Where do you see yourself in that thing?
Well, I think one of the other strengths that I have, if we're talking about shared services, is the opportunity to having 10 years of experience with the county, knowing the culture, working closely with the county board, knowing the department heads. Many of those department heads that work for the county, I've actually had the opportunity and good fortune to hire. So I think that is an advantage as we begin to talk about that for the community in general. I think those are issues that over time take a lot of consultation between the policymakers. They need to talk about whether or not this makes sense, and ultimately that's the direction that we'll have to decide is where do the policymakers see that, both from the county board and the city council, to see if that's something that we can pursue. I'm going to obviously rely on the experience of the city council, the experience of Henry Holling, and the great management team that he has here at the city, and I think that that's going to be important that I gain that. As I said when we interviewed, I haven't had the opportunity to work directly with the fire department, so I'm looking forward to working with Chief Tomlin on that as well to gain some understanding about the fire department and the issues that they're facing. So ultimately, though, I do think that having been in the community and knowing just about everyone here in the management team at the city really helps and will help in that transition. No. I think everyone should have high expectations, and I think that that's important. I think from defining performance and laying that out, I think that it's important that you set the goal high and try and achieve that. So I'm looking forward to it.
How long is the deal between
we didn't put an end to that term in the contract. So. I think it'll be presented when the council presents the packet for the material this week. So, but Friday probably, the packet will be available. So, yeah. The snow event. We have taken all the precautions for our 24/7 operations with. The nursing home, with the jail, to make sure that we have the appropriate staff in the juvenile detention center so that we can operate those 24/7 facilities. That's step number one. Step two, the highway department has their plows out in the street. They've taken some of their motor graders and equipped them with blades in case we have any heavy drifting. They've got ample salt supplies. They're ready to go as well, and they're prepared for it. The chief judge, the sheriff, and I will be discussing this afternoon what we're going to be doing about closing the courthouse down tomorrow. If we do that, we'll make a decision as quickly as we possibly can to let everybody know. And if we do that, we may end up looking at trying to do something along the same lines this afternoon as the city was doing. So. Yes. Well, I think there's internal and external strategies that the city can tackle on that front. First, the external strategies is doing exactly what they have been doing. That's raising the awareness of our state legislature on the challenges that we have within the pension systems. It's been one of the issues that has helped to drive up costs in municipalities across the state. It's been an issue that's raised pension costs for county governments as well. The ability to add additional pension enhancements is the responsibility of the legislature. So they took a good first step when they adopted pension reform this past year. Internally on the healthcare side, that's where you've got to benchmark some best practices and see where you are relative to the plan that we currently have and what is out there that might be able to help to drive those costs down. Specifically, I think you've got to look at areas like prescription drugs. You've got to look at areas like your medical claims and see what you can do. I think it's healthy for any organization to take stock of what they're doing and try and benchmark themselves against similar peers.